this lesson, you should be able to find zeros of a given rational function. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to find zeros of a given rational function. So when I say zeros of a function, it simply means set of values that makes the function defined or exist. Set of values that makes a function defined or exist referred to as the zeros of a function. And on this note, when you have this rational function f of s, which will be the ratio of these two polynomial functions, q of s over q of s, where the q of s is not equal to 0 because that's the domain. Because if the denominator part is 0, then everything will be undefined or indeterminate. So that's the domain. So to find the zeros or defined values, we have to equate the numerator to 0. You have to set the numerator to 0 and solve the remaining results. And solve the remaining results. And solve the remaining results. So the main idea to find zeros of a function is when a given rational function is given, take your time, set the numerator, equate it to 0, and solve the remaining results. Okay, now let's take this one for better understanding. Suppose we have this function f of s, which is s squared minus 9 over s squared plus 4s plus 4. And we are to find the zeros of this function. We are to find the zeros of this function. So we have to take our type, check the function, check the numerator part. Since we have found the zeros or defined values, then set the numerator to 0 and solve the remaining results. So by doing so, f of s, which is equal to s squared minus 9 all over s squared. So from this function, we have to equate the numerator part, which is s squared minus 9 equal to 0. So now let's take our time and solve. So let's put like terms here, s squared is equal to 9. So a certain number squared is 9. So we have to take our time and find those numbers by taking square root on both sides. We have root of s squared, which is equal to plus, or either this has to be plus or minus root of what? 9. So x is equal to plus or minus 3. The zeros of this function is plus or minus 3 because here is squared. So when you take the positive 3 squared, you get 9 minus 9 0. That is the zeros of the function. When you take the negative 3 minus 3 squared, we give you minus 3 times minus 3. That's positive 9 minus 9 0. So the zeros of this function is negative 3 and positive 3. So these are the zeros of this function. Now let's look at the problem number 2. Example 2. We are to find the zeros of this function. Zeros of this function. So we have to find the zeros of this function. G of s is equal to s squared plus 8x all over s squared plus 4. We have to find the zeros. So as I explained it clearly here, So take your time. Since you have defined the zeros, then you have to set the numerator to 0 and solve the remaining result. On this route, when you set the numerator to 0, the numerator alone to 0, you are going to get x squared plus 8x equal to what? 0. So on this note, we have to take our time and solve for the set of variables that will make this function to what? 0 or defined. So you see the x is common to both sides. So you can factor x out. So when you factor x out, here is x squared. So you have x plus here we got 8 equal to 0. So you have two terms here. You have x is equal to 0, and the second bracket is x plus 8 to be equal to what? 0. So when you take this side, x plus 8 to 0, then we are going to get x is equal to negative 8. And on this note, we are getting two answers. That x is 0. So you can clearly see that when x is 0, here will be 0, here too will be what? 0. Here will be 0 and here too will be what? 0. So everything will be what? 0. And when x is negative 8, minus 8 squared is 64. And this side, 8 times minus 8 is negative 64. So 64 minus 64 will be what? 0. So therefore, the zeros of this function are what? Minus 8 and what? 0. So these are the zeros of this function. Now let's take our time and take the problem number 3 for better understanding. Problem number 3 for better understanding. So for the problem number 3, it says what values of t makes the function defined? And here is the problem. The question says, what values of t makes the function defined? So the values of t that makes the function defined, meaning we have to find the zeros of the function or the values that will make the function what? Exist. So on this note, we have to take our time and set the numerator to 0. So when you set the numerator to 0, we are going to get t power 3 So we have to take our time and set the numerator to 0. So when you set the numerator to 0, now check t is very common throughout. So we can decide to factor t out. So let's factor our t out. Here will be t squared plus 4t plus 4 equal to what? 0. And here we consider everything in the bracket as 1 and this one as 1. So let's equate it to 0. We have t equal to 0 or t squared plus 4t plus 4 equal to 0. So when you have t is equal to 0, then we are done. You know the first zeros of the function. That when t is equal to 0, everything here will be equal to 0. So now let's take the second part. T squared plus 4t plus 4 equal to 0. So let's compare this one with the general quadratic equation, which is as squared plus bs plus c equal to 0. When you compare, see that a is 1, b 4, c is 4. Let's find the product of a and c. We are going to get 4. Let's set for two factors of 4. that add up to 4. But when you multiply the same 4 here, that will be 2 and 2. So you're going to get t squared plus 2t plus 2t. So we are using these two factors to replace the 4t here. Plus this constant 4 equal to 0. So from here you can take a carry and group them. When you group them like this, then the common term here is what t, factor t out here, the remaining t plus 2, plus 2 is common, we have t plus what 2 equal to 0. And this we see that the terms in the bracket are the same. So let's put the terms outside in one bracket, t plus 2. And the term inside are the same, choose one, another t plus 2 equals. Now you see that this repeated factor, it is repeating. It is repeating. So let's take one. T plus 2 to be 0. Then we're going to get t is equal to negative 2. And when you take this bracket 2, you're going to get the same t is equal to negative 2. So on this goes, the zeros of this function are t is equal to minus 2 and what? 0. So when you take that time and use negative 2 here, we are going to get everything to be 0. And when you take the 0, 2, we're going to get everything to be what? 0. So now let's take our type and solve the problem number 4. The problem number 4. Problem number 4 is find the values of x that makes the function s squared plus 5s plus 6 all over s squared minus s plus 2. Define. What values of s makes the function g of s equal to s squared plus 5s plus 6 all over s squared minus s plus 2 defined. So at this note, I will leave this question for you. For you to solve it, take your time, set the numerator to 0, and solve the remaining quadratic equation to get your zeros of the function or define values of the function or the values that will make the function g of s exist. Thank you very much for watching this video. If today happens to be your first time watching my video, then subscribe to my channel and hit on the notification bell for more updates. Thank you.